Obviously, these past few days, we've been talking quite a bit about Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again, because of course we just got Echo, which did feature a small but very effective appearance from Charlie Cox as Daredevil. We also, of course, got confirmation that the Marvel Netflix shows are officially canon, like for real this time. And of course, we also got that post-credit scene for Echo, which directly sets up Daredevil Born Again with Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime, running for mayor of New York City. So everybody's talking about Daredevil Born Again. We're all getting really excited for it. I know I personally am. And this is a show that's been going through some changes for sure, as a lot of Marvel projects currently are. They just got back to filming, or I think they're gearing up to soon begin filming again, because they were filming before the strike started and then the strikes happened. So now they're going to get back into that. But over the course of the strikes happening and recently, they've rewritten pretty much the whole show, because there were apparently some issues, and so now we're getting some new stuff for Daredevil Born Again. So a lot of stuff that had been reported on previously is maybe not going to be accurate, because there's been a lot of changes going on behind the scenes. But with all this talk of Daredevil Born Again right now, it seems like the Scoopers wanted to get in on this as well, and we got two major things to talk about right here, both of which I am quite excited to talk about, because that's right, people, they're back. Karen and Foggy, they are so back for Daredevil Born Again. Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Woll are reportedly returning for Daredevil Born Again. Supposedly, they've already signed on. They're going to appear in this Disney Plus series, which, man, I am so hyped for, because in the previous version of Daredevil Born Again, it was being reported they weren't going to be featured at all. Daredevil was going to get a new love interest, and Foggy wasn't going to be featured. It was just not going to be there. But no, these two characters, and specifically these two castings, were part of the gold that made Netflix's Daredevil so good. Just the chemistry between those three characters, these two and Matt, was just so good. I loved it so much. And really, the thing I'm most excited to hear about here, and I'm assuming this is what this means, is it means Foggy is not going to die. At least not at the beginning. Because for those who don't know, in the original version of Daredevil Born Again, before they did all of these rewrites, supposedly the series was going to start off with Foggy dying and Matt Murdock basically deciding to give up being Daredevil, and that's why he does this, because Foggy dies. No, we can't be doing that. We can't just kill off Foggy off screen. No. I mean, there is a total possibility that they could be bringing back Eldon Henson just to record a death scene, which would still suck. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we're getting some Nelson and Murdock and Page, attorneys at law, as we got set up at the end of Daredevil Season 3. I hope so, but that's something I'm really incredibly excited to see here. And maybe one of them will die. You never know. But at least we could get them back for a little bit. That's my hope. But that also so that, first of all, is coming from Jeff Snyder. So that's really exciting. And then coming in news from Daniel RPK, we have reports on our villain of the series, at least the first part of Daredevil Born Again, because we know it's going to be 18 episodes, so they're breaking it up into kind of chunks. It's going to have multiple arcs throughout this season, and at least for the first chunk of this season, the villain will be Muse. So Muse will be the villain of the beginning of Daredevil Born Again. Now, this is a character that I didn't really know much about before. I'd never heard of him before, but, I did some research a little bit, and sounds like a really interesting, terrifying villain. So I really do hope that, I'm really assuming with a character like this, the show kind of has to be TVMA, like Echo was, but I'm assuming especially with a character like this, they're probably going to go even further with it, because for those who don't know who Muse is, kind of from what my understanding is, he kind of reminds me of like Professor Pig from Batman, but for Daredevil. So Professor Pig is all about murdering people and like kind of putting those dead bodies and body parts to a better cause and like all that stuff. And Muse is kind of a similar thing. Muse is an artist, and he makes this art with the blood of his victims. So he goes around kidnapping people, murdering people, and creating these murals and spreading these messages throughout the city, all with blood, which is super disgusting. But very interestingly, in what I was reading about him, is a lot of what he did in the comics and what was tied to in the comics ties into a lot of what we know is going to be going on in this series, including Wilson Fisk running for mayor of New York City, and on top of that, Punisher, because we know John Bernthal is going to be back as Punisher in Daredevil Born Again as well, and there's some connections there also. And Muse just looks like a terrifying guy, but I think would fit in so well for the show. And again, it's got to be TVMA. Like, that was my assumption anyway, but especially using a villain like this, like, it's got to be TVMA. But this, just look at this guy. This looks terrifying, but gets me so excited to see this. And I mean, if Foggy or Karen do die, I mean, at least they would die at the hands of a really terrifying, cool-looking villain like this guy. But hopefully that doesn't happen. You know, I want them to live, but based on the original version, we'll see how it goes, I suppose. So hopefully they'll start filming rather soon, within the next few weeks, and we'll hopefully be getting some more news about Daredevil Born Again, and I believe probably even a casting for Muse, all stuff that I'm really quite excited to see. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this updated new news for Marvel Studios' Daredevil Born Again? We got our Karen and Foggy back, and our villain now has supposedly been revealed. So thank you for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.